Round 4 of this year's URC belonged to the Italian sides. Mine is Mark. Let's talk rugby. We start off with the biggest result of the weekend. That is Zebre 12, Sharks 10. So Zebre first win in 18 months for them. Got to be absolutely delighted with that. They came close against Ulster in the opening round, and they came close on a number of occasions last year as well. Couldn't actually close out the win, but finally they've done it. So this one, they start off with Prisciantelli. He pops over a penalty. Chamberlain then a few minutes later puts one over for the Sharks to even it up. Then Trulla with a long range penalty restores the lead. Then Sharks find a bit of space out wide and Wright gets over to score. Chamberlain converts that one, and it looks like Sharks maybe a little bit in control. Into the second half though, Prisciantelli pops over first one penalty, then a second one with about 15 minutes to go to get that slight edge for Zebre, put them in front. Sharks then come back. They're looking for that score, be it a penalty, drop goal, whatever, to just edge ahead and potentially win the game. But the roundabout, they're just inside the Zebre half, and there's a dangerous clear out from Andrews. He gets a red card. Zebre then are able to go up the field. They end up about 10 meters out, I think, from the Sharks line when the clock was in the red, and then just booted off the field. Obviously they just want to win the game, and well deserved win for them. You can see that it's been coming for a while for them, so it's great just to see them getting that win, and hopefully this is just going to be a foundation stone for them and not just a lone win in for the season. So let's see how they go from here. Sharks still waiting for their first win of the season. They have gotten the first match point though of the season out of this one as well, or with the losing bonus point. Last year they put in a run to sneak into the playoffs, decent end to the season. If they keep going the way they are now though, they're going to leave themselves just too much to do, so they've got to get that first win in the next few rounds if at all possible. Next game then we have a big clash near the top of the table is Ulster 21, Munster 14. So Munster start this one really well. Scrum seems to be really on top. Ulster conceding penalties. They have a 5 meter scrum. Balls at the back there with Coombs. He flicks it up to Casey. Casey then kind of darts, like first of all he goes and then steps back and then darts through a hole over to score. Doak then gets a penalty for Ulster to keep them in touch. Casey then with his second try, this one Munster camped on the Ulster line and then he darts over to score. Stockdale then gets himself a try. It's a nice crossfield kick. Stockdale lets it bounce, but the bounce favours him. Bounces right up in the bread basket. He goes over to score. Into the second half then, Doak with a couple of penalties and gets Ulster just, I think, did he put them? Yeah, I think he put them just ahead. No, he put them even actually. It's 14-all at this stage. Then Ulster looking for that win, and it's almost complete redemption for them because it comes from the scrum. The scrum is dominant and they're pushing over. They've already got a penalty. It's a 5 meter scrum. They're pushing through the Munster ranks, and Timoney goes over to score. It's converted by Doak to make it 21-14, and that was our final score. Losing bonus point for Munster, but Ulster good value for their win there. Then the other Friday night game was Cardiff 12, Bulls 18. So Bulls' first try just had everything. First of all, lovely long pass out wide. Then a strong carry, offload at a tackle. Then Creel with a chip over the top, gathers, pops it off to Papier then, who goes over to score. Just, really good score from them. Second one then, Cardiff, they're on attack, but they get picked off. De Klerk in the passing channel, and he just has too much gas. Nobody's catching him. He goes straight in under the post from what was about the edge of his own 22, I think. Cardiff then hit back. Grady gets over to score for them, and looks like they're doing well when Lilo then in the second half helps them. So basically there was like Cardiff on the attack, and there's a tackle, but there's no other Bulls player in there, so there's no ruck formed. So he's just kind of got 1 foot behind the ball and 1 foot on the kind of bull side of things, and just leans back and picks the ball up, and then he's away. He goes in, darts in under the post unopposed. Just quick thinking from him there, and Cardiff back in the game. But then Smith penalty stretched it out to 18-12. Cardiff then have a chance right at the end. They kick the ball into the corner to go to the maul, but the Bulls get in there, disrupt. The ball pops out of the maul, and then the Bulls whack it off the field to get the win. So decent win for the Bulls. That's 3 out of 4 now for them, and they're looking good. But still would like to see them go on a bit of a run with some more wins as well, just to kind of improve their credentials, as it were, at the top of the table there at the moment, because I haven't seen which team really is going to be the leader this year. We had Leinster last year, but it's not clear yet who's actually going to be out there ahead yet. Next then we have Benetton 20 to Stormers 17. So the opening try from Benetton, it's a nice little kick in behind. Zanon, he goes after the ball, but Gallant actually gets there first and just completely air kicks the ball. I don't know why he didn't just dive. The ball had just gone over the try line, so all he had to do was dive on it, and it would have been like a dropout. But he decides to try and whack it, and just completely air kicks it, misses the ball. Zanon then gets there and dives on to score. Gallant then makes up for his error, though. Stormers with a nice cross kick right on the Benetton try line. It's knocked back, but then the bounce takes the ball forward over the try line. Gallant gets there first, and he scores. Then they add tries from Entebeni and Skosen. Skosen's one was well worked, but then Benetton, in between that, they have a penalty for Albinos, keeping them in touch. And then into that second half then, just before half time actually, I know I almost missed probably the highlight of the game for me at least. Rhino Smith, it looks like it's 10-all, looks like we're going into the break like evens. He says, no we're not. Kicks a drop goal on the angle from just inside the Stormers half. Like, it had to be at least 45 meters, if not more, and it just sailed over the bar. So Benetton go in leading there, but then Benetton get the last score of the game as well. This one was from Izakor, well worked try for him, and then they were able to hang on there towards the end to get the win. Really good win for them. Both Italian teams winning on the same weekend in the URC. You don't hear that very often. Hopefully we're going to hear it a bit more. We want to see the Italian teams improving. We want to see the Welsh teams improving, so that it really does become a hugely competitive league, and gets to the point where everybody is pushing standards and pushing each other to get better. That's really what we want to see out of the URC. But this brilliant from Benetton. They've been showing like that. They're an improving team season on season, and it looks like it's continuing here as well. Next time we have Ospreys 23, Glasgow Warriors 31. So Ospreys start off with a try for Williams. So this one was they had a line out, set up the maul. The maul is like, they're 5 minutes out. The maul is kind of almost edging into touch. So the ball comes back inside, and then Williams just darts over to score. Quick thinking from him, and good job by the Ospreys not to get pushed into touch as well. Then we have Walsh with a penalty, stretches out the lead a little bit for them, but then Glasgow start to come back. We have a couple of tries from Matthews, both maul tries, either side of half time from him. Like, his second try was basically his 5th of the season, which is a crazy number to have already after 4 rounds, but that's the way it is now these days, right? Hookers are almost certainly going to be top scorers, or right up there at least by the end of the season. They then add another maul try. This one, though, Violano doesn't allow the ball to go back to Matthews for his hat-trick. He holds on to it. He gets over to score. Then the pick of the tries for me was Morgan Williams' one. Ospreys, they worked the ball out really well, get it onto the right wing. And then it was Morgan, I think, he darts down the wing and then puts a lovely little angle kick back inside for Morgan Williams to pick it up and go over to score. And then looks like Ospreys are at least going to get a losing bonus point, but then Warriors, they get over with Dell in the final minute, and then Weir pops over the conversion as well to deny them that losing bonus point. Glasgow's tries, I'd say total, if you added them all up, maybe they all went over from 20 meters collectively, like maybe 5 meters each one. They were all very close range ones, but it worked for them. They did really well on that, and Ospreys didn't really have an answer to their maul, so why not exploit it? Next, then we have another one of the Saturday games. Sorry, let me find it here. Yeah, Scarlets 23, Lions 24. So Scarlets, they start this one well, like penalty from Lloyd. Then they have a try from Rogers as well, converted by Lloyd, and they're looking like they're doing well. But then the Lions start come back. So Lowe gets over for a try, then Lloyd another penalty, but then shortly after that, Boat goes over from close range. Then we have Lloyd kicks the Scarlets, Ryan Elias actually gets over for a try as well. Decent work from him to make sure that he got over to ground it. Converted. Then Lloyd had scored a penalty before that as well. So Scarlets are looking like they're going to win, because there's only a few minutes left on the clock, less than 5 minutes. They've got the ball, they're in their own half, but at least all they have to do is clear it. But clearing kick is charged down. Van Wyck, he goes in to score, and then Hamba converts to win the game with a couple of minutes to go, and then that was it. Like, Scarlets couldn't come back. Lions doing really well to hang on in there and get that get that win. Scarlets, though, the win was there for them, and all they had to do was look after the ball, or at least get it away from the danger zone. They couldn't do either, and it cost them in the end. On to the next one then, which was Edinburgh 25, Connacht 22. So this was a real kind of back and forth here. So we have, first of all, great work from Mark Bennett down the right wing, and then he pops off the pass and then over to Hewson, who goes over in the corner, converted by Healy. Very good start from Edinburgh. We then have some really quick thinking, quick thinking was a bit later, right? Yeah. So first of all, we penalty from Carty brings Connacht back into a little bit. Then it's Van der Merwe with just a devastating break down the left, cuts back inside and then pops the ball off to Velicott to go over to score. Connacht then camped on the Edinburgh line. Eventually O'Halloran goes over. Then Joyce, just on the field, just barrels his way over. He went through two Edinburgh players like they weren't there, and one of them was actually Bill Madden as well. So it takes a lot to do that to him. Then we have a Healy penalty, or Healy penalty just before that. Then we have really quick thinking from Velicott. So Edinburgh have a penalty. It's about 5 minutes out, and Connacht just completely switch off. He takes it quickly, they spin out wide, then Bennett goes into the corner. Connacht will be kicking themselves for that. Like, so many teams do it so often. It's crazy. Like, you know, spend so much time working on the defence, and then just a lack of concentration, and all that good defensive work goes out the window, and you concede a try. Then Connacht come back, they actually get themselves level. Another one where they're kind of camped on the line. Prendergast gets over, converted by Hanrahan. He was brought on because Carty's kicking honestly wasn't that great from the tee, and was kind of, you know, costing his team a little bit. But game is tied up. Who pops up? Ben Healy with a drop goal. Edinburgh did have penalty advantage, but the actual penalty itself probably was a bit more difficult than the drop goal, so we did the right thing to pop that over and seal the win for his team. So Connacht, who up to that point were, you know, flying with the results, like unbeaten up to that point. Edinburgh, though, definitely worth the win on that performance. Really good from them. Connacht maybe a little bit you know, below par, but Edinburgh made them look below par. I think that's the way that one went. Okay, our next game then is the final game of the weekend. So it was Dragons 10, Leinster 33. So in this one, it was basically like Leinster, you know, took them a while to really stamp their authority on the game, but like they do get an early try through Sheehan. Is kind of the normal hooker one, right at the back of the maul, and then goes over to score, converted by Byrne. Then what we see Leinster do so often, quick double, one just before halftime, one just after halftime, just, you know, completely more or less ends the contest, really. So the first one, Clarkson going over from close range. The second one then, Frawley's one, probably the pick of the tries for me, and Sheehan's involvement in it as well. So first of all, Dragons on attack, ball goes loose. Sheehan is the guy who gets there first, scoops it up, runs a few meters, then offloads out of the tackle. Then he works his ass off to get back into position as Charlie Natoi breaks down the middle. Ball is recycled, it's put out wide. Nice long pass out to Frawley, who's on his inside, Sheehan. So he exchanges passes with Sheehan and goes over in the corner. But that ability, like, to get up from being tackled and then work so hard to get there and support, that's why, you know, Leinster can be so devastating, because the players put in the graft to get there in support. Sometimes they're not needed, but they still make sure that they're there, and he did that in that one as well. Natoi's one was really good as well. There was a crossfield kick. Was it Russell? I can't remember. I think it was Russell. He catches the ball, and then just a lovely little pop pass out of the tackle to Natoi to go over in the corner. We did have a try from the Dragons as well, from Owen. Like, they were just kind of happy enough to get over, I think. Then we had Basham got himself a red card as well. So, you know, not really, couldn't really argue with that. I felt like in terms of, what was it? It was Ross Byrne. So ball was kicked in behind, and Ross Byrne kind of lets it bounce and then gets to it, and he's kind of on his own try line and kicks it out, but it's kind of falling at the same time. And then Basham just comes in and smashes him in the head, and there was like the referee said it himself. He said it was never a legal tackle, so there couldn't be any mitigation in terms of Byrne falling over or anything like that. So it just had to be a straight red. There was nothing that they could do about it. Once it's never a legal tackle, therefore you can't apply any mitigation. But then last play of the game, then a maul, and then Penny gets over for a try for Leinster. So really, really big win for them. But some interesting wins this week kind of leaves us. We look at the table now. Kind of leaves us with no clear team who are out in front at the moment. There's still a pack there who are all jostling at the top of the table. So first at the moment is the Bulls. They've had 3 great wins, but didn't look that great in their loss. And that's why I say no team has really stood out, because Leinster the same. Glasgow kind of, did a number on them as well. But then Glasgow, when they lost, they got made to look a bit ordinary as well. But those are your top 3. Bulls, Leinster, Glasgow, all on 15 points. But the Bulls, with some heavy wins, have a better points difference because of it. Next then of 14 points, we have Ulster and Connacht in 5th place as well. We've got Benetton there in 6th. Benetton now the only team unbeaten left in the season. It's crazy that they've got 3 wins and a draw, and they're down in 6th because they haven't been scoring enough tries. So those bonus points haven't been coming with them, and they probably need to start getting bonus points as well. Otherwise, as soon as they do have that first defeat, they're going to just drop out of that top 6 and maybe out of the top 8 as well. Munster then defending champions in 7th place on 13 points. Edinburgh then at the moment round out the playoff places with 12 match points in 8th. The Stormers in 9th place, 2 wins and 2 losses for them. Not, obviously mixed start to the season for them, and they'll want to go on a run now and get themselves back up into those, up to the sharp end of the table. Ospreys also 2-2 for them on 10 points in 10th. Zebre almost got a nosebleed, I think, at the moment. They're up in 11th after that first win with 9 match points. The Lions then behind them after that win for them as well, and their win against the Scarlets was their first win of the season, lifts them up to 12th place on 8 match points. Then we have like the Welsh, like the rest of the Welsh teams, and this is where we saw them for much of last season, and they really do have to improve and start kind of pushing their way up the table as well. But we've got Cardiff in 13th on 7 match points. Scarlets, who blew that game against the Lions, they should have won, and if they had won that one, then they would have been up there with close to Ospreys and Zebre, rather than down here like 3 from the bottom on 6 match points. The Dragons then with 2 match points. I gave Di Flanagan a lot of credit last year for the bounce that he gave to the team, but it's a long time now since the Dragons have produced results. And that's something that they got to do. The performance against Leinster wasn't terrible. Like, they actually look like they have a performance in them to win, but you got to put everything together, and you actually got to deliver the win. And now, they're one of only 2 teams left without a win. The other is the Sharks, who got their first match point there against Zebre, but they would have been looking at that game thinking, this is our chance to get our first win of the season. It didn't work for them. Now they've got to go back to the drawing board, and they've got to, they got to get that win soon, or they're going to be down this end of the table in a scrap. There's no relegation in the URC, but it's all about, when you're down at that end of the table, it's all about trying to get some momentum and then catapult yourself up the table and try and do, make a late run into the playoffs. And that's where they're looking at already after 4 rounds, is that it's going to have to be a late run for them unless they can turn this around quickly and turn it around in a big way as well. But that's our table. We'll have, some stats coming probably Wednesday or Thursday. I'm probably going to be doing it on Wednesday, and then it'll depend. It's going to take me the entire day of a day off of work, so I'm going to spend the whole day doing the stats, and it's probably going to be maybe Wednesday evening or Thursday morning when we have that, and then coming into the weekend, then probably Thursday evening we'll have our preview for the next round of games as well. But this is an exciting round of games. It's the first time in forever that both Italian teams have won, but also in their shield they have the 2 Scottish teams, Edinburgh and Glasgow, and all 4 teams in that shield actually won this weekend. And that's something that's a really, really rare event to happen in the URC. And all of those teams, they're teams that have improved season on season, in different ways as well. Zebre improving from being basically the worst team in the league, trying to lift themselves up from that. Benetton becoming, a proper contender in terms of pushing for playoff places. Edinburgh, a team that are kind of up and down. They had a good start last season, fell away. They want to not do that this year. And then finally, Glasgow, a team who potentially could be pushing for silverware this year. They're not that far off it. They just need, 1 or 2 more pieces of the puzzle to be able to go deep into either the URC or European competition and potentially snag themselves a trophy.